going on YouTube? But Great Blades here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Boker Kalashnikov. This one's the auto. Let's start with a measurement on the overall size here. So length here, looking at just a hair over 7.5 inches, about 7.55, maybe 7.6. Blade length, looking at about 3 and looking at here 3.3 with a cutting edge of about 3, maybe 3.25 inches, but that part's not sharp, so we'll say 3 inches. Do a measurement on the blade stock thickness. So blade stock thickness on here, looking at about 110 thousandths. So pretty thin, not super laser beam thin, but for what you're looking at here, it actually is pretty decent. Yeah, not too bad. Do a measurement on the weight real quick. So weight, looking at about 3.65 ounces. Not too terrible. Also do a size comparison here with the Demco 20.5. This one with original goat scales. I'll link them down below. And then also the QSP Penguin. We are at a little bit of an angle here, so it will look a little bit more extreme than it really is, but it is just a hair longer than the 20.5, and it is honestly just a little bit smaller, or sorry, a little bit bigger than the QSP Penguin. It's actually pretty close in terms of overall length. I thought it was going to be kind of right in the middle, but it is actually bigger than both of them, which it doesn't feel like it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it doesn't feel like a big knife in your hand, which can be a good or a bad thing depending, but I think in this case it's a good one because it just fits nicely in your hand. It doesn't feel cumbersome or anything like that. Do a measurement, or sorry, comparison on the thickness here. So it is going to be thinner than the 20.5, and then it is going to be just a little bit thicker than the QSP Penguin. But the QSP Penguin is a pretty thin knife, honestly, and it's flat. There's no contour to its scales. There's a flat scales, but it won't be difficult to carry regardless. So the scales are made of aluminum. It has a stonewashed D2. Or no, sorry, this one is AUS 8, my bad. They somewhat recently I should say, switched over to D2, but this one was the first auto I actually ever got. I wasn't too sure, about autos. When I first got into collecting pocket knives and things like that, or at least really into it. But yeah, I saw this on Blade HQ. I think this is in like 2021. I want to say maybe 2020, but years ago now at this point. But I had seen it and I knew basically nothing at the time about Boker. I think I watched a couple YouTube videos, and people kind of tended to agree that they're pretty decent, budget auto knives, which I think is pretty cool. So I picked one up. Yeah, I think, like I said, this was about $60 maybe at the time. I know they often go on sale, and also depending which variant you're getting, sometimes that will change the price. And I know, thinking back at it now, this is kind of goofy and definitely not my style. I don't, I think we all kind of went through that phase when we collected knives with, skulls and flames and things on them. And this is the one that I have left over. It's still a well-made knife, but, and I've owned other Boker Kalashnikov autos, but I really only kept it in my collection because it was the first one that I got. Yeah, this is definitely not my aesthetic anymore. Nothing wrong with that if that's yours, but my tastes have definitely changed, and it's no longer something quite like this, but still a very, very well-made knife. I mentioned the stonewash already. It is flat ground. They call this a dagger, which I guess technically it is, but it's not sharp on both sides. I would probably more call this a drop point realistically. But that's fine. They also have other blade shapes. I think they do actually have a dagger, but not in the automatic, but in the button lock flipper that they released somewhat recently. They also have Tanto and recurve and all these other blade shapes, but yeah, this one's pretty basic. But like I said, aluminum handle, AUS 10 on the blade steel. It does just have a kind of basic steel clip. Nothing crazy in here. It is very, very long. I mean, it goes 85% of the knife length, so it definitely could be shortened up, but I mean, it works fine. Retention's okay. It'll go in your pocket. I mean, you probably have to use two hands a little bit, but it's fine. It works okay. Sandwich construction, so two different pieces. It's kind of got this light texture. If I can zoom in a little bit on here, kind of, I don't know, raindrop or like lizard skin or something, kind of grip to it, which is nice. It makes it just a little bit grippier, but it's not, it's nothing that's going to tear up your pants or anything like that. It's very, very light, which I do appreciate. It does have these finger grooves here, so it is kind of pretty locked in to where your hand's going to be. So if you have, really big hands, the regular size one, which they do, I should mention, they do have 3 different sizes, I believe. They have the regular one here. They have a mini. Actually, no, they have 4. They have the mini, which is a little bit smaller. They have like micro ones, which are like this big, and then they have the I think the 2XL. They, for some reason, I don't think have just an XL, but that one's huge. I think that one's got like a 4, almost a 5-inch blade on it, the 2XL. But anyways, so if you have truly big hands, or just, bigger than average, I do not. I have small hands. But this might not be the size for you, and especially with how they lock you in pretty heavily here. But, I mean, for me anyways, it works pretty well because my fingers fit perfectly in here. It locks you in. There's a nice little, groove there to catch your hand so you're not sliding up on the blade. The jimping on the back here, it could go maybe a little bit further, but it's not bad, it's good enough. It locks you in there, and there's no forward choil there. There's also not really a sharpening choil, but aside from that, it's fine. Yeah. Did I mention? I don't think I did. Made in Taiwan. Made in partnership with Boker in Taiwan. I'm not sure if they OEM it themselves or if they have someone else do it for them, but it's made in Taiwan, not in China, a little bit different. But they've managed to, keep their prices pretty reasonable, which is nice, because usually when you get the less expensive, more budget autos, sometimes they really suck, to put it lightly. But this one's pretty good. I mean, it's got decent power, nothing crazy. It's fine. The the force you have to use to push the button is nice, and it's not crunchy, which I appreciate. Because like I said, with some of the more budget friendly autos, sometimes the buttons, they're real crunchy and gritty. And truthfully, I have had that happen before with a different Boker that I had, but it just needed to be oiled and tuned just a little bit differently. But it came out, and also just with use. But sometimes that can happen. Boker's kind of sometimes on their QC, I'll be honest. But I mean, for 50 or $60, I'm not really gonna complain too much. I mean, the fitment's fine. There's no blade play up, down, left, or right, really. It's pretty solid, locks up fine. It, deploys and locks up every time I push the button, so, I'll consider that good enough for me. If you're looking for, something much better than that, there's other brands you can go for at a higher price, of course, but there's other places you can go for, a much higher quality auto. Yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's a pretty good, solid intro to if you're not sure about, automatic knives. Like I said, most of their knives are between 50 and 60, maybe $65, depending, which variant you're getting, things like that, or size. But I don't think that's too bad for what you're getting here, if I had to give it a letter rating, I'd put most Boker autos, especially the Kalashnikovs, at a B minus. They do fine. They're not super crazy. They're not really gonna wow you unless you've never handled an auto. But they're a good intro, I would say. I feel like a lot of people who own, the Protex and custom, automatics, especially the side opening automatics, I should say. I'm sure a lot of them have probably started out with something like this. If they've started collecting in the last, 5 or 7 years, maybe 10 years. But yeah, I like it, truthfully. I think it just holds a special place in my heart a little bit because it is my first one that I got. But even so, like I said, I've owned others and they've all been more or less the same. So they do well in that regard. But I think that's going to be pretty much it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'll be posting more videos, of course. And leave a comment down below. Let me know, what you think about the Boker autos, the Kalashnikov here specifically. Have you ever owned one? Did you jump, into a higher tier or a different brand? I know there's also Piranha, which is a little bit more expensive. I think they're usually about $120 or so. But let me know if you started with a Boker auto or if you started somewhere else. Let me know what you guys think. And I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.